Steady ping adds a ping buffer to absorb ping spikes in your favorite game. We'll go over everything you need to know about how to set up steady ping for your favorite game so that you have a smooth online gaming experience. I'm going to use Call of Duty Private Match to show you guys how steady ping affects your ping in game, because it does raise it artificially by giving you that ping buffer to absorb those spikes. So the first thing we need to note here is steady ping is off, and I'm setting just at a main menu of Call of Duty. My geo filter is on. I do have a filtered area. However, I have ping assist on, which is allowing my private game server to appear. So some games, including Call of Duty, when you load into a private match, are going to put you on the closest possible server. This may not always be the server you connect to when you play your favorite game mode. So keep that in mind while I'm doing all of these tests. Because I'm testing here on a private match, the in-game ping is going to be different than when I'm in a live match. All right, all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and log into the match here. And you can look up in the top left-hand corner and you'll already see that my ping is sitting at about 24 to 25 milliseconds with, again, steady ping off. Now, something I want to note here that's just kind of a little side thing. If you look at the geo filter and you look at the ping there, you will notice that it may be a few milliseconds off. That's because some games have in-game processing that their ping counter sees that NetDuma's system does not. Call of Duty is one of those games. That's just something you kind of get used to when you're using the geo filter and kind of figuring everything out. So again, my in-game ping is sitting about 25 milliseconds. Now, I always like to say, well, let's go down 1 millisecond and up 1 millisecond from that. So it does fluctuate to 24, so we know 24. And I never saw it go up to 26, although it may have happened. But we'll say from 24 to 26 milliseconds, normally sitting at about 25 milliseconds. And that's, again, here on a private match, which is different than a live match, at least when it comes to Call of Duty and my particular connection. So we're going to back out so that we can start making adjustments to our steady ping. One thing to note here is the system can be a little bit finicky when you're in game. And you'll see this happen live here in just a second. So something to point out. You can see my geo filter has yet to drop the server that I was just connected to for my private match. And so if I wait a few seconds, normally this would drop out on its own and I could go ahead and turn on steady ping, which would activate the system and allow me to get that ping buffer. Now, when you're using simple mode, that ping buffer is 10 milliseconds, 8 to 10 milliseconds, give or take right around in there. Basically 10 milliseconds. But you can see that I'm still connected to that server. However, I have activated steady ping. And if I hop back in to that private match, well, what's going to happen is I'm actually not going to stabilize. And that's because the system was still connected to that server. It never dropped out. So even though it flickered for a second real quick, you can see I have a gray bar where it should be at least a light green at the beginning and then full green once the connection is stabilized. But it's not stabilizing. And that's again because I did not disconnect from that server. So what we got to do when that happens is back out of the private match, let everything load again, which of course is obnoxious. It's all part of testing, and get everything correct for your system can be a little bit finicky. So we're gonna go ahead and back out. Now to remedy this situation, we don't just wanna back out of the private match, we wanna back all the way out to the multiplayer menu of the game that we're playing. So for Call of Duty, that's pretty easy. We just back out of the private match and boom, we're gonna just bloop, bloop, back out of that. And now we're at the regular multiplayer menu. All the servers that I've blocked have now popped up, and you'll see the change in the corner there. It's gonna go ahead and drop the servers finally. You can see it's dropped. Now it's connecting to something different. All right, okay, cool. Now we're good to go and hop back into private match. So this is something to be paying attention to. If you load it in and it's not stabilizing, that's most likely why, as you've made some adjustments live and the system's like, I don't think so. Back out and try again. Now, I don't know about other games, but I do a lot of my testing here on Call of Duty, and it could be finicky like this, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So we're gonna go ahead and hop back into that private match. Now you can see the light green bar starting to appear over there, saying we're starting to stabilize. And we're in the process of stabilizing as we continue to load into the match and it gets more information going there. We're still on simple mode, everything is active, and boom. Now we've got 2 bars instead of just 1. The bottom bar is our normal ping. The top bar is what's being used with our stable ping, our steady ping. And so now that we've got steady ping active, it is giving us a 10 millisecond increase, give or take, so 8 to 10 milliseconds to our live in-game ping. So if you remember, in that previous private match, I was sitting at 25 milliseconds. Now that has went up to about 34, 35, sitting right around in there. So I have a ping buffer of about 10 milliseconds to absorb spikes in game. Now for some games and some connections, this is gonna work great. You can set it to simple and you never have to worry about it again. However, in my months of testing, I found that expert, if you play a game consistently, is a bit better to use. So if you're playing Call of Duty, Apex, whatever, I don't care what you play all the time. If it's something you play all the time and that's like your main game, well, I guess our focus is gonna be set it to that. But if you play a bunch of different games, well, you're just gonna have to kind of test each one of these games out and figure out what works best. So if we start to raise our ping on the expert side, you will see that ping increase happen in game live as I'm playing. So it went up a few milliseconds as I moved my bar up a few milliseconds. And we can do it yet again. We can push our bar up a little bit and our in-game ping is gonna go up a little bit. So if you're reading what expert ping has to say, all that little mumbo jumbo, the one thing we need to be worried about is that last line. We're just worried about that last line. What's our base in-game ping? Okay, so we want to match that to our bar here. So keep that in mind. So when you're setting expert mode or even simple mode, it is raising your in-game ping by giving you a buffer. That way, when the game has a spike on that bottom bar, that buffer, that space in between there is enough to take care of that spike and not move that top bar. We don't want to see that top bar ever spike when we're playing in game. Now it can be a bit tricky to have the geo filter open all the time while you're playing and look over, especially if you're in a heated match. The last thing you want to do is be looking at it constantly. That's why we like to use private matches here. And you know, if you're having spikes, you're most likely going to see them here as well. However, remember, in-game is a live environment with a lot more people, a lot more things going on. So, you know, there's that. Now, if we turn this system off, you'll notice we went all the way back down to our base ping of 25. And so there we are sitting at about 25 milliseconds. Now what we want to do is go ahead and just back out of this. And I want to show you guys what my in-game ping is with steady ping turned off. All right, so as we load into Team Deathmatch, you can see that my base ping in game without steady ping being on is sitting at about 33 milliseconds. All right, so I actually don't want to stay in here and ruin a match for anybody because of testing. So we're gonna go ahead and back out. Go through the process once again of setting up a private match. Make sure steady ping is enabled. And now what we want to do is we want to use the expert ping instructions and go a little bit further than our base in-game ping. So we know that our base in-game ping was 33 milliseconds. So I want to set my target ping to 35 milliseconds. And that is going to allow a little bit of a buffer there so that when I'm playing online, there's no lag. And if there is, it's covered by that buffer. So if we're looking at that bottom bar, when that bottom bar spikes, we do not want it to reach that top bar. If it hits that top bar and makes that top bar spike, then we need to increase our buffer about just a little bit more. And of course, now that we have this buffer, in-game is going to feel a lot snappier. So let's back out once again and take a quick final look at what in-game ping is going to look like once you have all of this set up. Again, normally you want to back out and wait a couple minutes between these steps for the geo filter to clear the information so that when you log into the next match, it's all good. So just backing out here, wait a couple of seconds, let the geo filter clear. So it's cleared, it's moved on to another connection. Continue to wait. All right, now we should be good to go ahead and launch into another team deathmatch. Loading one last time back into a live team deathmatch environment, we take a look at the in-game ping, which is now matching the changes I've made on expert mode, raising my ping significantly from 33 milliseconds to around 60 something milliseconds. And if we look over at the geo filter, you can see there is a significant space from my bottom bar to my top bar, allowing for ping spikes to be absorbed within that space. If I am playing a game and I ever see that top bar, that steady ping bar spike, then I need to add a few more milliseconds to my target ping within expert mode. And that should cover everything. All right, everybody, that's it. That's how you set up steady ping to have a smooth online gaming experience in your favorite game. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down below. And until the next time, as always, take it easy.